Let's say this t-shirt that you're wearing. Hopefully you're wearing a shirt listening to the show. That shirt costs 20 bucks. The next day you go, you see it at $15. Let's say the next day it goes to $10. Like, honey, get that shirt and also a different color shirt. Let's say it drops to $5. Hell, we'll buy every color that's available, including the pink and lavender ones. But will Costco ever sell a shirt for $0? No, they will not. The stock market is the same damn way. So why the hell are you upset when it's on sale? It's the only sale I've ever seen in my life where people get mad. Why the hell are you getting mad? Buy more. And this is the key part of how rich people get richer. They are comfortable being uncomfortable. So you have to change your mindset completely to understand that when things are bad, there's always opportunity. Welcome, folks. Lots to talk about today. So here we are. We're in our video series, our podcast series of talking about the new book, How the Rich Get Richer. Still #1 Amazon bestseller in multiple categories. So super excited about that. And today we are talking about chapter 10, almost to the end of the book. And a lot of you that have read the book, I thank you for it. I know you said it was written very well, very simply. Well, I like to think I'm pretty well myself and pretty simple. So use it in real words. I think is very important so everybody can understand. It was crucial. We wanted this to be able to help everybody. And today we're talking about chapter 10 with rich people are comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think this is often overlooked. And this chapter was really designed for people to realize everything out there has a risk and reward piece to it. And I've talked about this in earlier chapters where there's risks to getting married. There could be rewards as well. There are risks to having kids, and of course there could be rewards as well. But the idea with everything is understanding the multitude of different pieces that build your financial picture. And so I start talking about a lot of different things, but from investments to debts, and utilizing certain aspects to help increase your financial situation. But when we take a step back, this all comes on the emotional piece of you. How do you interpret money? How do you look at assets and how do you look at debt? The funny thing is, and you got to think like a bank now, which most people don't think like a bank, but if you think like a bank, debt is an asset in their book and cash is actually a liability because that's not theirs, that's somebody else's. Okay, well, how do I relate that to myself? I think once you have a capture that every aspect of your life has some form of financial benefit to you, then you'll be able to utilize some of these assets to help increase your net worth. So the emotional piece of understanding everything plays a piece. And it starts with a long conversation and talking about the different type of debts that are available to you. So chapter 10, and why I say why rich people are comfortable with being uncomfortable, is discussing the key attributes of debt. We all know, hopefully, that we shouldn't rush to pay off a 3.5% mortgage, especially if you're getting a write-off for it. Where else can you borrow 3.5%? And oh, by the way, don't you think that extra $100, $1,000 a month can go towards something else? Invest it in something else that can earn more than 3.5% over the next 10, 20, 30 years? Yes, I'm not even going to put a question mark at the end of that because it's an absolute yes. And if you say no, then what the hell are you doing listening to this show anyway? About money, knowing that the stock market, the S&P 500 has grown over 10% a year since inception, since 1926. So the idea of just that core understanding of it is crucial. And most people don't think of it that way, that debts are part of assets. It helps build wealth. Now, I'm not saying I like that. This is the whole part of being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Who wants to take on additional debt? Are you saying, Gabriel, I should carry credit card debt? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are certain forms of debt that is important to you. And so the sooner you're able to incorporate that in your situation, the better. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend. We're talking about all important topics of personal finance. Today, we're talking about Chapter 10, my new book of How the Rich Get Richer, and discussing how rich, on Chapter 10, how rich people are comfortable being uncomfortable. And the whole part is understanding on debts, how it can help enhance your situation. Now, there are certain times you might have to take on a debt of 7, 8, 9%. Now, let's use it in a form of personal finance like yourself. If you're paying off credit card debt, that is 20, 30%, that's a no-brainer, right? Then you have to take a step back saying, hey, maybe you have a business. Maybe you need a $100,000 loan for an equipment. But if that equipment makes you $200,000 a year, who cares if that loan is, now let's forget 7, 8, 9%. Who cares if it's 20%? You get what I'm saying? If that machine will help you double the amount of the cost of the actual equipment, then you can afford to pay that off in what, 7 months? So these are core understandings of not all debt is bad. Debt can be utilized to increase your financial situation. This is something I often see people overlook. And it's just an idea, an ideology of what they're raised with and what they're being taught, which is correct for a majority of us that are out there. But for those who are truly looking to be financially independent, to achieve financial success, you have to change your mindset. So as I go over the different types of loans, it's more for, number one, education. Because remember, this book on the very bottom here, yes, it's called How the Rich Get Richer, but it says in the subtitle, Your Ultimate Guide to Building Wealth. So yes, I had to go over the annoyance of explaining the debts so you can reference that. You may know it may be easy for you, so I apologize in advance reading that, short little snippets of it. But you have to understand the difference between a fixed debt and variable debts and unsecured and secured debt. And so once you are able to understand that, then you're able to understand how to utilize these properly. Now, let me take it an additional step. I see sometimes some of the most wealthiest clients that I have completely cash poor. What? They're literally cash poor. Like they could have millions, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, but their savings account is less than 6 figures. They probably have 20, 30,000. Now, what happens if their net worth goes from 100 million to 20 million, or from 20 million to 5 million, or 5 million to 1 million, or 1 million to $400,000? What I've seen with some of the most successful people out there is liquidity is crucial. Now, as long as they're not investing in something insane, where you could lose that much money, or just something super risky, if that's in fact not the case, then I've seen a lot of people utilize their brokerage accounts as a form of liquidity. Now, their brokerage accounts are there. Technically, it's liquid money. They can have access to it anytime. Now, there could be capital gains associated with that. Or even worse. Now, let me back up. If you have 100,000 in there, it goes to 200,000, you need to borrow money. That $200,000, if you were to need all of it or part of it, has probably some capital gains. It doubled in price, which means if you need 10,000, 5,000 is your cost basis, grew to 10, you're gonna have to pay 5,000 in capital gains tax, which depending on your tax situation, could be nothing, or it could be maybe 37% of it, depending on where you live. So in that case, 37% of that 5,000 gain. Some people, as I went into a podcast a while back, I used Jeff Bezos, for example, is they're able to take a line of credit against their brokerage accounts. Now, typically you would need at least $500,000 in there, $1 million or so, but you're able to get preferred pricing because you're borrowing technically on yourself. That's the collateral, how easy it is to get paid if you were the bank. Very low risk. When banks think you're low risk, they give you the best rate. That is called a pledged asset line of credit. That can be huge. So some people may look like they're not very liquid or look like they're cash poor, but they have access to a line of credit anytime they need it. And if you're paying 3, 4, 5, 6% on it, and your money is intended to grow more, or if your money is down, it dropped, and you feel it's going to go up, S&P 500 or an individual stock, you may want to wait and borrow. And if, keep in mind, your rate is a 12% rate, which is high for one of those, and you only need it for a month or two, that's only 1% a month in that example. Let's continue the conversation. Some people go on margin. Rate's not as good, but still, you can borrow on margin. Lastly, is some people have a home equity line of credit completely separate of their actual investment account. Now, this is where people get really annoyed. This is where people get really upset. because they may have their house paid off. And they're like, I'm not going to tap into my house. That is a stupid idea, Gabriel. And I get where you're coming from. Or you may owe $250,000 on $1 million house. And you're like, I'm not going to have a line of credit. But do you know home equity line of credit, you're banking with the right bank, has no charge to get it, no annual cost. And on top of that, there is no fee or interest accrued until you actually use it. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Why would you not get one? Truly, why would you not have a home equity line of credit on your house? I'm waiting. I'm asking you to send me an email, hit me up on social media, comment on the YouTube, whatever you want to do, call into our company and tell me, why would I not get a home equity line of credit? Because here's the thing, you may not need the money. Is that the answer you're thinking? Well, you don't need the money now, but you know it's a lot easier to get money when you don't need money? Because think about it, if you're in financial duress, do you think underwriters who are going to underwrite that loan, they're going to realize you're in financial duress? Are you now low risk? It's easy to get money when you don't need it. And it's hard to get money when you need money. Counterintuitive, but that's how the world works. This is why rich people are comfortable being uncomfortable, because nobody's comfortable with taking on additional debt. Nobody's comfortable opening up another credit card, but guess what? It may make sense depending on how much they spend, the rewards, the perks that they get with it. They're comfortable knowing that it takes time, energy, and sometimes money to make more money. This is some of the crucial pieces in this chapter, which people often miss. They miss it because they don't want to even involve themselves, because once they hear debt, they run away. And God bless the Dave Ramsey people out there, because they're probably hearing the same thing. But the idea is discipline. Because if that's the case, what other restrictions are you going to put on your life? Right? You're not going to have a drink because you're scared of getting drunk? Are you not ever going to go 1 mile over the speed limit because you're afraid to get in a car accident or to get pulled over? Are you not going to have any Coke or Pepsi because of the amount of sugar? You're not going to have any fast food because it's unhealthy for you? Like, respectfully, give me a break. So when we come back, we're going to have more fun talking about chapter 10 of how rich people are comfortable being uncomfortable. We'll be right back after a few words. Welcome back, folks. This is Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every week. And we're talking about all important topics of personal finance. But more importantly, we're talking about the book, How the Rich Get Richer. Yes. Thing that took me till December of 23 to July of 24. And then, of course, Forbes put their hands on it and put the magical sprinkles until we had the publication date here, July of 2025. So #1 bestseller, super excited. Been going over this 2-month or more period, talking about every chapter. And today I'm going over chapter 10 of how rich people are comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I talked about that first segment. I talked about quite a bit there, talking about risk versus reward, emotions, debt, and just being comfortable, liquidity with being uncomfortable, and just understanding more than what meets the eye. So now we're going to tweak it a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit more about this conversation. We're going to talk about, yes, investments. Rich people are comfortable with being uncomfortable, which means markets drop, stock markets drop, 401ks drop, your investments, no matter what it is, including real estate, drops. Simple as that. The idea with everything here is, are you comfortable with it? No, I'm not comfortable losing money. Gabriel, are you asking, am I comfortable to lose money? Are you an idiot? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, comfortable knowing there's always opportunity for you to capitalize off something negative. Nobody likes to see their $100,000 portfolio drop to 60, 70,000. Nobody wants their $1 million portfolio losing hundreds of thousands, or their multi-million-dollar portfolio losing millions. Of course not. Only an idiot would be happy to lose money. But you could be happy, uncomfortable with the opportunity. Think about it. Is the stock market that you were comfortable clearly owning and buying when it was worth 40,000, I'm just saying the Dow Jones, and now it drops 25% to 30,000, shouldn't you be comfortable owning it at a 25% drop? Okay. Let me relate this to something you're comfortable with. You need a new TV. You saw it in the ad, in the newspaper, for $2,000. You go to the store and you see it at $1,500. Are you more excited or less excited that it's $500 cheaper than you thought? Not a trick question. You were going to spend $2,000, now you spend $1,500. You're happy as hell is the answer. Okay, well, let's say this t-shirt that you're wearing. Hopefully you're wearing a shirt listening to the show. So you're wearing a shirt. That shirt costs $20. Say you got it at Costco. The next day you go, you see it at $15. Like, unless you're my wife who will return the one I was wearing and buy the new one for $15, normal people would say, hey, let me buy another one because I like this shirt so much. So that's $15. Let's say the next day it goes to $10. Like, honey, get that shirt and also a different color shirt. Let's say it drops to $5. Hell, we'll buy every color that's available, including the pink and lavender ones. But will Costco ever sell a shirt for $0? Not a trick question. Just answer it out loud. I don't care if you're buy or sell. No, they will not. The stock market is the same damn way. So why the hell are you upset when it's on sale? It's the only sale I've ever seen in my life where people get mad. Why the hell are you getting mad? Buy more. And this is the key part of how rich people get richer. They are comfortable being uncomfortable. They're comfortable when they see duress, like in 2008, 9, 10, when real estate markets were crashing. Did you sell your house? No, you probably didn't. Could have been a great idea, it's definitely in hindsight, to buy it. When those are fearful, you should be greedy. And when those are greedy is when you should be fearful. Nothing should change. So you have to change your mindset completely to understand that when things are bad, there's always opportunity. By the way, folks, if you're just joining me, you're listening to Gabriel Shahin, Certified Financial Planner, and your host of More Knowledge, More Wealth here on every weekend. And we're talking about all important topics of personal finance. And today we are talking about the book, How the Rich Get Richer, Chapter 10 of How Rich People Are Comfortable Being Uncomfortable. And I'm talking about investments. And this is where you need to understand, check yourself, not just stock market, real estate, and so on, but the stock market is the only one where I see when discounts happen, when sales happen, when the markets drop, people freak out versus getting excited and buying. And the other piece to this that I wanted to go in great detail of is diversification. Now, in the past probably 5 years, it's made a lot of sense to maybe don't diversify. In hindsight, to just go into big tech, you would have been just fine. You could have made overperformance of the S&P 500 because it's done fantastic. Hell, you could have even just bought the Magnificent 7 stocks and really rode that out with 20, 30, 40 plus returns. Whoop-de-doo. Here is where rich people are comfortable being uncomfortable, is they know that's the wrong way to invest. They see those increases happening around them. They don't focus on the past 5 years. They look at the past 50 years, and they know diversification is key, and it's the right way to invest. So sometimes they're comfortable earning less diversified, consistent, less volatility, and reliable returns than investing in the wrong way. So they're comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling saying, I missed a big part of the uprun. Well, here's the thing. Did they really? They actually still made a lot. They just didn't make as much, and they still are invested in big tech, in large cap growth, in large cap companies, in tech companies. So they're still invested and have exposure. They're just not overly exposed. They are comfortable when they see other people around them getting 20, 30, 40, 50% returns doing some risky crap, and them happy with their 6 to 10% returns. Because they have to regroup, refocus, and recalibrate themselves to understand that they never needed that 20 to 30% return. It would have been nice. But the question remains, how much risk are you taking? And they don't want and need to put themselves in a position to take on that much risk. And as Warren Buffett gets asked this question every few years, how come more people don't invest like you? His response is people just are not good at wanting to get rich slowly. Warren Buffett is infamously known for being a disciplined, consistent investor. He's very comfortable with getting rich slowly. And a lot of people fail to understand that concept. They're looking to always, what's that rocket emoji? Going to the moon, Bitcoin, trying to make a lot going to IPOs, going to big tech. I have nothing against any of those. But you have to understand there's a higher risk level there. Do I think you should have exposure to them? Sure. Why not? I have some exposure to everything I just said. But the idea is it goes into the camp of risky. You still should have your core, reliable, consistent, core portfolio. This is what rich people are doing. And the uncomfortable nature of it is they know sometimes the right way to invest sometimes makes you less. But when you stretch that puppy over 20, 30, 40 years, the returns are going to be something they're more pleased with and something that they're comfortable with, that less bumpy of a ride, and have more consistent returns, because fads come and go. And people probably under 45 years old don't remember the dot-com bubble. They don't remember times of extreme duress. And even if they do, they didn't have a bunch of money and understand the emotional scars that it cost. But rich people and comfortable being uncomfortable, they took advantage of those moments. So always put yourself in a position where you can take advantage. And this is why globally diversified portfolio is something that still screams as one of the top ways to invest your money long term. Because if there's a sale, if your neighbor's house comes up for sale, if the stock market's extremely depressed, if there is something where you can put your money to go and take advantage and get something 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar, you technically have money, because a diversified portfolio has multiple different asset classes. Just because the US stock market is destroyed, it doesn't mean everything else is, let alone each asset class and sector. These are core concepts that you should be taking advantage of and you should be understanding. Because I'm here to tell you that those who have achieved financial success, and this is also how the rich get richer. Hey folks, that was a fast show. I want to thank you for tuning in with us this weekend. You can always reach out to myself or any one of our colleagues here at Falcon Wealth Planning. Our phone number is 855-963-2526. That's 855-96-FALCON, like the bird. Or visit our website at falconwealthplanning.com. That's falconwp.com for short, where you can go and visit our Knowledge Center, which redirects you to YouTube. We have over 1 million views, folks. And if you want us to discuss anything on YouTube, on the show, whatever, send your inquiry to radio@falconwp.com. That's radio@falconwp.com. And if you want this episode, any one of our previous episodes, you can go on podcast, Spotify. We have them all there. And folks, we want to thank you for your trust. We want you to feel free and feel comfortable to reach out with any questions that you have. I want you to have a fantastic weekend. Have a great week, and God bless.